What's going on, everyone, and welcome into Plazont's podcast, filled to the brim with glitchy analysis and freezing cold takes, so cold that they're boiling hot. Today's episode, we are continuing our journey, previewing every single college football team in the Power Four, and right now, we're going to be previewing the Arkansas Razorbacks. Let's first get into the star player to look out for, Jaquindon Jackson, a transfer running back. If Arkansas is going to succeed, it's going to be with the ball in this guy's hand. Sam Pittman has always had a run-first team, and this is the star running back. I firmly believe that we're going to see him have at least 1,000-yard season. But let's get into some storylines. To start, this Arkansas team has a very average talent pool for a college football program. The problem with that being, they're in the SEC, and this is a brutal schedule. And going into that, Sam Pittman is on the hot seat. If this seat is not on fire, I don't know what a hot seat is. A loss to BYU last year is what really got it started. And if Arkansas lets up and has another losing year and does not make a bowl game, we're going to see Sam Pittman probably lose his job. However, that is very unfortunate, but it comes at probably, quote unquote, a decent reason. This Arkansas team has been going nowhere since they had a great 9-5 season a few years ago. Now it looks like they're dead into nothing. I mean, the recruiting classes aren't there. The wins aren't there. The transfer portal has not really been hitting like it should. All that being said, that's why the seat's on fire for Sam Pittman. So now let's get into some key losses for this Razorbacks team. Most importantly, they lose their starting quarterback, KJ Jefferson, to the transfer portal. He goes to UCF to pair up with Gus Malzahn. But then on the defensive side of the ball, they lost their best linebacker in Drew Sanders to the draft this year, as well as the captain and the firm leader of this offensive line group, Ricky Stormberg. This Arkansas team is probably one of the most devoid of talent in the SEC, especially now that they lose these massive guys to the draft and the transfer portal. But let's talk about some of the additions that are trying to recoup that loss. One, Xavier Sorey, the middle linebacker backup for Georgia last year. This guy's a 4 or 5-star guy, and Arkansas could definitely use his help. It's always good to have a guy as the captain, the play caller of your defense, be an extremely talented guy from one of the best college football programs in the country. He can bring in leadership and experience from that and hopefully turn this Razorbacks defense around. But on the offensive side of the ball, to replace KJ Jefferson, Taylon Green, the quarterback from Boise State. Very similar, I think, to KJ Jefferson's game. Dual threat, not as big, but still can be a force on the offensive side of the ball. I think we're going to have to see him refine his passing game if the Razorbacks want to succeed in the running game. I mean, obviously, if the entire season everybody's playing the run, it's going to be hard to run the football. So having a guy that can at least spread the defense out is pretty important, and I think that he's capable, but we'll have to wait and see. Big X factor there. Last but not least, let's talk about a potential hinge game. And to me, that means if they win the game, I could definitely see them getting to 6 wins. If they lose the game, it's all downhill, and we're going to see an entire coaching staff remake next season. And that is the second game of the year versus Oklahoma State at Oklahoma State against one of the Heisman frontrunners, Ollie Gordon, probably the best running back in all of college football last year. This Arkansas Razorbacks team must win that game. And to be honest, it will be a pretty damn big upset if they do. So now let's get into the record prediction. To start the season, Arkansas Pine Bluff, very similar. Any SEC team that plays an FCS opponent, it's almost always an automatic W. That's the first win for Arkansas, but I'll be honest, spoiler alert, there aren't a lot on here. Next game, at Oklahoma State. This is their year to go compete for a Big 12 title. It is not Arkansas's to win football games. I think they take the L here. Next up, going up against UAB at home. Once again, Arkansas has an average talented football roster, and UAB does as well, but this is at Arkansas, and there are still some big guys on this football program. I think that they could take the dub, but watch out, because we could see a repeat of the Auburn versus New Mexico State game last year. New Mexico State, by all means, was not a perennial group of 5 contender. Like, they weren't really that good, and they came in and beat Auburn 31-10. So keep an eye out for that game, but I'll give it to Arkansas for now. Next 4 games: at Auburn versus Texas A&M in a neutral site, versus Tennessee at home, and versus LSU at home. All of those, chalk them up for losses. Most of these teams are going to be more talented and, quite frankly, not have as many storylines and stuff floating around about where the program is going. It is a massive distraction, especially now with the transfer portal and NIL. When your coach loses his job, immediately players are thinking, what's my next move? Am I entering the portal? Am I staying here? Does this affect my NIL? And like it or not, this is affecting how the season turns out. And I chalk these all up for losses. At Mississippi State, probably the easiest SEC game on the schedule. Actually, it's pretty obvious. Easiest SEC game on the schedule. This Mississippi State team is in shambles. I will give Arkansas the win there. But then to wrap up the season, at home versus Ole Miss, at home versus Texas. The home field advantage does not matter now. This Arkansas team will already be 3-5 and will make it 3-7 with a pair of losses there. Versus Louisiana Tech at home, very similar to the UAB game. Watch out. This Louisiana Tech team could come in and beat Arkansas, but once again, I will give an SEC team the benefit of the doubt and give them the win here. And to wrap up the season, they play at Missouri. Extremely tough game. And by now, I expect that Sam Pittman will be fired. This Arkansas team will most likely be in complete shambles. So that's a loss. Finishing the season 4-8, there will be a new head coach coming in, but there surely will not be transfers or a good recruiting class. This Arkansas team has got another 3 to 4 year rebuild ahead of them. And I don't know if the next head coach is going to be able to stop the bleeding. We'll have to wait and see. But thank you all so much for tuning in to this college football preview. And be sure to tune into the rest of them. And we'll see you next time.